What's up, everybody? I'm HoopsandHipHop, and welcome to a sort of impromptu theory / discussion / speculation video. This video isn't going to really be scripted because I'm kind of doing it off the cuff, but I have a really good idea about what happened yesterday at E3 regarding Pokemon, and I really wanted to share it with you guys. So, as I'm sure most of you know, because it pretty much broke the internet, we are going to be getting a main series Pokemon game on the Switch. It was officially confirmed yesterday at E3. Mr. Ishihara said that they are currently developing a main series Pokemon game for the Switch, and it won't be out for basically over a year, but it is coming, and the fact that we just have official confirmation on that is amazing. However, I think it's really interesting given the announcement and given the timing of it, and I personally believe that it's fairly likely, I think there's a decent chance that this game could be Pokemon Diamond and Pearl remakes. And in this video, I'm going to tell you my theory as to why I believe that is a likely scenario. I've got 4 different points I want to discuss, so without further ado, let's get right into it. The first point is the timing. Mr. Ishihara said in the E3 presentation that this game might not be out for over a year. Most likely it will be available or released in 2019 because this year we have Ultra Sun and Moon, and then next year, since they're currently developing this Switch game, that would naturally be a break year, and then in 2019 they would likely release this game for the Switch. The reason why 2019 is an interesting year is because it marks 5 years since the last remake we got, which was Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in 2014, and so far, we have gotten remakes for Pokemon games every 5 years. It started with Fire Red and Leaf Green in 2004, then 5 years later, Heart Gold and Soul Silver, and then 5 years after that, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire in 2014. So we've got this trend going that could very well continue with Diamond and Pearl remakes in 2019, since it looks like that's when this Switch game is going to come out. Secondly, we've got the point of the hardware. Well, obviously, this game is going to be on the Switch, and Pokemon games tend to get made. I mean, it's not a concrete rule, but they tend to get made when the original can no longer be played on the current hardware. The lone exception to this is Fire Red and Leaf Green, because you could play the original Red and Blue and Yellow on the Game Boy Advance. However, aside from that, this rule remains true. On the DS, we got Heart Gold and Soul Silver. That was the generation after original Game Boy games no longer became playable. In 2014, we got Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire with the 3DS when GBA games no longer became playable as they were on the DS Lite. And now we're moving to the Switch, which is the generation just barely outside the 3DS, where we are no longer able to play DS games like we are on the 3DS with Diamond and Pearl. And so in that sense, it makes perfect sense to put the Diamond and Pearl remakes on the Switch because once again, it follows that trend. Thirdly, we've got the nostalgia factor. I think because releasing a main series Pokemon game on the Switch is such a big deal and such a momentous occasion because a main series game on handhelds has never happened before, I think it would be advantageous, and I think it's a good idea in order to boost sales and get people warmed up to the idea of main series Pokemon on Switch, because apparently, and frankly surprisingly, some people are a little hesitant to the idea for whatever reason. So I think it would be advantageous on Game Freak's part to release Diamond and Pearl remakes, a remake of a previously all-time classic game that is beloved by the fans, on the Switch as the first main series Pokemon game on a home console, because people are familiar with the game, they know what to expect, and it is likely one of their most favorite games or a game that they absolutely love being completely remade from essentially 16-bit graphics into glorious HD on a big screen, no less. So I think it really makes a lot of sense, because I believe that people will be more inclined to get a Switch and get this Pokemon game if they were on the fence, if it's a game that they're already familiar with and that they want to re-experience in HD, as opposed to something that is brand new and they are not really familiar with. So I think it really makes a ton of sense in that aspect. And finally, my fourth point is the plot. We've currently got a lot of stuff going on with the plot in Pokemon games. Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, Sun and Moon, the entire 7th generation has been focusing heavily on dimensions and space and all of that stuff, and it even showed a little bit towards the end of Generation 6, and we are really building up to some sort of climactic moment, I believe. And what better way to reach the climax of this plot than in Diamond and Pearl remakes? Like, I think it just makes complete sense to follow up Sun and Moon with Diamond and Pearl remakes as opposed to like Gen 8 or something, because like I said, the concepts and the plots and the themes of Sun and Moon just fit perfectly with the plots of Generation 4, and it would make no sense to start Generation 8 and kind of break up that climactic buildup. Sure, Generation 8 could follow that theme, but to me, it just doesn't make sense to stretch it that far, because like I said, this sort of thing started at the end of Generation 6, and so if you continued it into Generation 8, that would be spanning this entire like concept and plot over 2 generations, which is really unheard of for Pokemon when they don't really focus that hard on plot in the first place. And so I just think it makes all the sense in the world, even if it was on the 3DS, for Diamond and Pearl remakes to be the next games afterwards. And given all of the other information that I said, I just really think it makes a lot of sense that the Diamond and Pearl remakes are this Pokemon game that we're going to get on the Switch that was just recently announced yesterday at E3. So that's my theory. I think it's decently likely. However, it's just a theory. I'm not going to guarantee it as fact or anything like that. And ultimately, I want to know what you guys think. Do you think this evidence adds up, or are you hoping for something different? Do you not buy it? Just definitely let me know your thoughts and questions and whatever in the comments below. I really want to hear. I really want to get a discussion going. We probably won't hear about this game for a while, so this will be the only video on this game for a while until we get more info. I just wanted to get that thought out there and that theory out there because I thought it was interesting. So hopefully you enjoyed it. There will be another theory discussion sort of video about Ultra Sun and Moon tomorrow, so definitely stay tuned for that, and then we'll have some main series content on Saturday, so definitely some awesome stuff coming to you guys in the very near future. So once again, I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely stay tuned for the next ones coming up later this week, and until then, I will smell you guys later.